P.
Here
Oh,
we are. Happy New Year's Eve 2025 Lollapalooza.
I just want to say one thing
Lollapalooza. It's time
before
to
you
have
even do the intro.
Lollapalooza.
I just want to say
Jenna,
one
Jenna,
thing.
Jenna. Jenna,
He has
Jenna.
never,
Ride with me. Jenna, Jenna.
he
Jenna,
saw
Jenna.
Mike Alosso's face and started singing. He's literally never sang yet today.
I was in
So
tune too. I was
I
pretty
want
good.
you all to
Thanks,
know
Joe.
I love you guys. Happy New Year's Eve, Lollapalooza 2025. I started singing because, first of all, I'm here. First of all, my MC from 5 a.m. till 7 p.m. Shout out to Mike Drop Calhoun, who's no longer with us because he's committed to the one that matters most, the life partner, right? His wife, who he now left from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. shift. He just switched shifts with drum roll, Jenna Silverman, who now, right? Okay, who's yes, this is my wife. Okay, so first of all, shout out to Mike, who's no longer with us after how many ever hours that is.
He
He did
didn't
a great
die.
job.
I know you're making
Now,
like this sounds like a dangerous job, bro.
now, also, this will be the longest intro. We got we're gonna talk about our words, right? Meaning last year's theme was Kierkegaard, life can only be understood backwards, but must be lived forwards. However, this year's theme is life is not a problem uh, to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. So thank you for coming, Michael Allosso. Thank you for coming, Joseph Iredell. Bill, I believe Ryman is joining us. Jenna Silverman and a couple more may pop in. It really means a lot that you're here. So Michael, meet Joe, Joe, Michael, Jenna, you know Michael, you don't yet know Joe, I don't think so. And Jenna, help us out from here.
Yeah. Hi guys. Michael, I know you,
Jenna.
Joe. I haven't met you yet, but nice to meet you, Joe.
Yes, you.
And I know Bill, but I don't know what he's doing. He's still connecting to audio. It looks like I don't know what's going on. But the first thing that we like to do on this is understand, what was your goal and or word for 2025 and what is your goal and or word for 2026. And Michael, why don't you start us off?
It's a hyphenate. Seen, heard, see, hear, see, listen. So, Jenna, for me, it was all about making people feel seen and heard. So maybe the word really, Jenna, is invisible. That what I felt this year was an incredible amount of invisibility from people. And the second that you saw them and heard them, they felt visible. So there's a bunch of words in there. I know I'm breaking the rules, but you know I'm a maverick. So I guess, Jay, let's maybe call it visibility. It's everyone wants deserves to be visible. And that was my big thing this year.
And what are you looking at for 26?
I'm piggybacking on Jay's intensity and events. So Jenna, for me, what I pledge to do is no longer ever just speak. Every moment's going to be an event. There's never going to be an interaction with another human being that isn't an event.
I already feel that way every time I talk to you, so you're winning for
I
sure.
love you so much. So I love you. Like you get me. Like people who get me, then they participate in the event sooner. People who
Yeah.
don't get me, like they're still talking and still talk. Like, hop on, let's do the event. But Jenny, you got me right away.
Yeah.
It's interesting, Joe. Like Jenna was one of those people that I had heard about for months and months and months before I met her. She's like a legend. She's like Annie Oakley or something. Like you hear about her, but you say, "Oh, I'll never meet that person." Then you finally meet her, and people, like all the raves they said, didn't do her justice. They didn't paint her properly. They didn't, she's like Spitfire, she's like great. She's in there, and she's like in the trenches. Like you got a picture, like she has boots on with a bayonet over and then a first aid kit in the other hand, and then a cigarette hanging out of her mouth.
Oh God, I wish I had a cigarette hanging out of my mouth. I had to give that up for marriage. So I decided I picked Jay over the cigarette.
It's all about smell, Jenna. It's all about smell.
Yeah, agree. Joe, what about you? What was your core focus word in 25 and what is it in 26?
So this is really interesting because like there's so much happened in 25, like positive and just but so I think my word for 25 was I was coming off like a really good year in 24 and I was kind of introspectively thinking like, oh, I want to like understand, figure things out and like get better understanding and so forth. And which is fine, but like my word for 26 is I want to dominate. I want dominance. I want to I have a lot of irons in the fire and it's not time. Like I feel like it's the time for me to think and be introspective will be later, but right now I'm so focused on dominating and making sure that I'm executing at the highest possible level at everything that I'm doing. And once I get through that phase, then I can be introspective and understanding and but right now it's time to make hay in 26. So
I love that.
Matt.
My word last year was faith because I wanted to be more in touch with God. And my word this year is surrender.
Mm.
Michael, why don't you tell Joe a little bit about what you do and everybody else listening, starting with all of these events that you're going to build in 2026.
I make people better. Jose, that's what I do. Joe, Jenna, before I answer that, I'm really into Joe. I like his imagination. He knows the way to go. Is pure. What did you call it?
Dominance, intensity.
Domination.
That's right.
Love it, brother.
That's it.
Yeah. So through speaking, through coaching, through performing, through improvisation, through directing, I make people better. And so the people I make better are the people who receive me and the people who receive us. So what I love about Culture Matters is the core values. Like every one of them resonates for me, and collaboration is super important. So what I do is I collaborate with every single client. I never do the same thing twice, and I always do the same thing twice. So every single performance is different and customized to what they do. So I do that through one-on-one coaching. And sometimes Joe and audience people hire me to coach them because they have a presentation and they want to be better. Yesterday, someone called me half an hour before a big presentation they had to do. And he said, it's all prepared, but I want a hotter opening. Give me a hotter opening. And so that's what the coaching was. All the way to people who don't do presentations, and yet they present every day, who want to come across better, who want to do what you just did so well when Jen asked you a question. They want to do that better every day. So I do that one-on-one. Then I do workshops that range anywhere from 3 hours to 3 days, where I honor the objective of the people in the room, always through improvisation, creativity, and heightened self-awareness. So that could look like a CEO retreat. It could look like the retreat that Jay's so kind to talk about that he did last year on a farm in Maine. It could be what I'm doing next week. I'm going to Las Vegas to work with a group for a whole day, and they're a group of disparate CEOs. Always a workshop designed to make the people in the room love each other more, respect each other more, and learn from each other. And that I am the facilitator of that event through improvisational activities, creative activities. And finally, I
What's
do
interesting
keynotes.
about that is like, so Joe, I was reading about Joe. Joe has a podcast called Selling the Dream. And I feel like, Mike, you in person sell the dream, right? So, Joe, why don't you tell us like what that concept is of, what your concept is of selling the dream and how that relates to your, life.
So, yeah, the podcast, I can't take all that much credit for the podcast because shout out to my partner in the podcast, KJ, Kenny Jordan. It was actually his idea to come up with the podcast. This is years ago. We've been friends since, the 90s. We went to Penn State together. And
Cool.
and Kenny's always been sort of like a mentor to me, a partner. We've been business partners. He's, in his lane's been very successful and I've been successful in my lane, but we're always kind of keep each other accountable. And, if I get too big for my britches or whatever, he's the first one to tell me that I ain't shit. So that's how we've always had a really good relationship with being super honest with each other and kind of keeping ourselves grounded. So, and through the years we conversations on the regular, just talking about life and business and why we are where we are and why we aren't where we need to be and things like that. So he just a couple years back was like, hey man, we should do this is pretty fun, we should do a podcast and have guests on and kind of ask them what they're going through in life. And so that's kind of how it started. But so selling the dream, um we were the name of selling the dream came to us, and I forget who came up with it. It was probably him, but um, it was like, so what do you? Everybody's selling something, and like in order to get buy-in to take action, there has to be a dream. Like there has to be an end goal of what do you want? Like what are you envisioning or dreaming this to become? So like then how do we sell that? Like how do we get that verbalize it to get to take action? So that's kind of like how selling the dream came about for the podcast. But um it's for that for me, it's been so amazing because to have to be forced to listen and talk, have conversations with people and actually get them to open up on what their journey has been and really be able to like pick through. It's awesome. Like our guests come on and I'm it's a cheat code for us. I get so much out of it because you really have there's no other place where you'd have a captive audience like that and then guests that you have on and just be able to ask them anything and they're just an open book. So that's been really cool. It's helped me in my business and life and everything. So
Michael, would you apply, you commented on Joe being so articulate and charismatic when you notice him. Do you believe that the reps of him being a podcast host has probably subconsciously below awareness helped him be that way just based on your, knowledge of that?
Jenna, we're all complex and intricate and much more than we seem, but we should all go the way of Joe and sell the world a dream. It's like
wow.
yeah, he's super
It's
No
charismatic.
charge, Joe, no charge.
Man, bars.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Jenna, you nailed it. Like Joe, your strong thing is your presence. You're very beautiful, both inside and outside, and it projects into the camera. And so there's a goodness about you, and authenticity about you that's that's why Jay's podcast is so successful. Jay doesn't
It is
pretend
also, I will say that is why Kenny picked me for the podcast. So
he's a good casting
I
director.
started that out by saying it wasn't
Yeah.
my idea.
Yeah,
And
no, you
like,
did.
who do I know that
Yeah,
could
yeah.
help?
Yeah, no.
So
Hey, casting is an important thing.
I,
It's I spend half the time dealing with problems in businesses because the CEO casts poorly. If they
Mhm.
cast right, they like, I look so good and I go in there and it's so sweet. When they cast poorly, it's like I have to work my ass off. No, and that's Joe, like when I directed a play, if I had cast it well, the reviews were Michael Allosso is a brilliant director. When I cast it poorly, when I really am a brilliant director, because I'm getting blood from stones, the reviews are, yeah, he's all right. And
Mm.
it's like it's all about casting.
Mm.
I think that that's a really awesome metaphor for business and just life in general. And we've talked about this, Jay, before, and like our on our podcast. Like when you find people and you get them in spots where they are really meant to be what they're doing, and you're not trying to put round pegs and square holes and so forth, like it's like conducting a symphony. And like so what I've run sales teams and so forth and other companies and so forth, and we would get these kids in here and they would have all of the greatest intentions of the world to be the highest producing salesperson, but they just don't have that skill set. And no matter how hard they work, they just would be miserable because there's other guys who just have a natural talent to do it that don't do half the work and then they get the results, so forth. So I've like in that paradigm, there's those people feel terrible because they think like, oh, I'm worthless, like I can't sell. And like I've literally had to have conversations like, dude, you're probably really, really good at something else. Like, stop trying to bang your head against the wall being good at this. Like, go be a astrophysicist. Don't try to be a salesperson. Like, and then you can make everybody else who's trying to be an astrophysicist that's really a salesperson feel like they're bad or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's definitely important that identifying that in people and drawing out like what they're best at and making sure that they're in the right spot. So I I guess in a play that's probably the most important thing, right? The whole idea of casting.
It is in a business too, and that's why I don't call it hiring, I call it casting. Joe, I have clients where I know nothing about what they do, so little, but they bring me in during auditions and they bring me in order to find out if the person's authentic, because that's what you do in an audition. Can
Mm.
you authentically immerse yourself in this role? Well, it's the same thing in business. And so, yeah, again, kudos to Kenny. He was figuring out who could authentically immerse himself in the role that he needed to fill. And you got to take time for that. That cliche, slow to hire, fast to fire, is
Yeah,
based on a lot of sagacity. It's the right way to go. We have in a theater, we have a thing called callbacks. Jenna and Jay, you know this, that so when I cast a play, we have auditions, and then hundreds of people could audition, but then you have callbacks where you call a few people back for each role. They don't get it right away. They come back for a callback. So, Joe, I'm in Pink Panther 2 with Steve Martin. Now, if you see the movie, like I'm in 3 scenes, like you say, any moron could do it. I had 6 callbacks for that role.
wow,
6. So it started with hundreds of people, then it ended up with dozens of people, and each time they told me something different to do. They weren't going to give that role. They wanted to make sure that someone could stand toe to toe with Steve Martin and not upstage him, but at the same time hold. It's
sure.
I have a question
That
on
that's
that.
actually that's kind of interesting along those if we're using that analogy because I've always when in the hiring process, and I know that this kind of falls right into line with what Jay does too, like the importance of having a supporting cast to like your A players in the business. So like everyone wants to go out and hire the superstar, but if you have a room full of superstars, they're all either gonna like do great or they're gonna kill each other. So it's important, I found to have the people who they're maybe not as good, but like they're a good emotional support to people or they're like so finding that dynamic is pretty difficult a lot of times because when most hiring managers or people that are looking like I want this person, they have the best pedigree, they have all these results, and you put them all in a room together with other guys that are like that and women like it's not good. So is that something that you're also working with the CEOs? Is that part of your system?
Don't get me going because then you'll make me talk about government and you'll make it's an analog for everything. And so I'll tell you, Joe, it really resonates for me. Jay knows my team. No, I have a whopping 4 employees, and I tell you, you take away any one of them, I'm a big loser. Because I'm Mr. Superstar. I just want to walk in and do my magic. They make all the magic happen. Without them, I'm nobody. And so, yes, if I brought in four Michael Alossos, I don't know if I would have found my way to the screen tonight. You know, it's
Wow.
it's self-awareness, right, Jay? You need to know what you're strong at and what you're weak at.
I have a question about steaks.
Mm.
Not like
Well,
the
that's what your
steak,
intensity
not
is.
like yeah, so but not EAK, like the steak I've been eating for 2 months to I'm talking about STAKES steaks, which is one of the 35 secret weapons, Joe, that Michael teaches. I've benefited from being at that farm. My word of the year was influenced by the farm, yeah, seeing aspects of myself that I hadn't. I benefited from the steaks, but I have a question about steaks as it relates to what Joe was bringing up. Because
Hmm.
so this is how let me try. When it comes to that, what role do the stakes play in this talent conversation or this squares and round peg? What's the saying?
Square
Squares
Round
and
peg,
peg,
circles.
round hole.
square
Where
peg,
do
round hole.
stakes? Yeah. So this whole conversation we're having, where do stakes come up? Like the stakes that the leader has that are, or how do I say that? The stakes, they're stakes. Maybe you could explain what stakes means first so we can.
I'll answer your question first. It has everything to do with it. So stakes means I do everything I do like my life depended on it. That the three of you are the most important thing in the world to me right now, and nothing else matters.
Look at his
So,
body language too. He's like all up in it.
yeah. So Jenna, when an actor doesn't do that, and I'm coaching them, the three-word sentence we say is heighten the stakes. And what that means is make the scene more important to you. And so Jenna and Joe, Jay knows this. When you heighten the stakes, three things happen. One, excellence. So look at the four of us on the screen, just as a case study. Like, which of the four of us isn't excellent at what we do? All right, so think about it. What if all four of us, every single day, we said, this task we're doing right now, we're going to crush it? The mathematics that we would is huge. Second, repeat business. You know, someone may not need a podcaster the day they meet you, Joe, but if your stakes are high and you're deeply committed to the moment, they're going to remember you. And Jay, I don't know if I ever told you the story. The reason why I'm sitting with you guys right now is because I was an outstanding high school drama teacher. So, Joe and Jenna, that was the first job I had,
Hmm.
teaching high school theater. Well, those kids had parents, and my rehearsal room door was always open. One of those parents turned out to be the corporate shrink for a major utility company in New England in the UK. And I
Oh,
don't know how many years later he called me and he said, Michael, I remember how you used to direct my daughter Sabrina and her peers. I'm running out of things to do with my CEO. Do you think you could translate what you did with her to my CEO? And I said yes. We hung up. I looked up CEO in the dictionary. I didn't even know what it meant. Um, I went in, Jenna, HR interviewed me for 3 straight hours on straight back chairs like this. At the end of the 3 hours, they not only gave me the CEO to coach, but the 10 people who were in line to be the next CEO. There was a beauty pageant going on, and the CEO had already announced that he was leaving in 2 years. And the rest is history, all
wow.
because of a high school drama teacher
What was that guy's name?
that helped me. Hank Tufts. And he's when I talk to some of the utility people, they say, Hank Tufts? Like, you give him all the credit? I say, yep, I give Hank Tufts
Wow.
the credit. And
Shout
three,
out
the
to
third,
Hank, man. We
yeah,
wanted
it's Hank Man.
Wow.
right?
And the third thing that happens for me, and I think would have for all of us, is you sleep beautifully at night when your stakes are high all day because it's exhausting. And look, Jay, you may not like what I do in this podcast tonight, but I'm giving you everything I got. I always have ways that I want to be better, but it won't keep me up tonight because my conscience will be clear that I gave it all. And that's the beauty of heightening the stakes. And so I demand that from the people around me. And it does do, Jay, what you said the big event is this year, because that turns simple meetings into feasts. What I think we all need to do is turn a simple meal into a feast every single time. And you can only do that by heightening the stakes.
Wow.
Hmm.
What would you say is your like if any secret what secret weapons can we take into 2026 to align with our words? Joe's was dominance, Jenna's was surrender, and mine's love.
Yeah, I would say Secret Weapon 16 objective, not adjective objective, but noun. When you decide, Jay, ahead of time what you're going to do, because Jay, what's one of your core values? Preparation. So you wake up in the morning, and what I say is, I'm going to make every human being I meet today better because they met me. What I think many people do is they don't state an objective. They just follow along. They survive. They're passive instead of being active, so that events aren't created. That I'm going to insist that everyone around me, including myself, not only play strong objectives, but even choose colorful words. So rather than saying my objective is to be a good husband, that's not a good objective because it's an intransitive verb. It really demands nothing. My objective is to heap Peggy with goodies on a daily basis. Well, that's a
Mm.
little more colorful language. And it's not simply the verbal acuity, it's that I might actually do something a little different, that I might actually heap rather than be. Show me what be looks like. So, Jay, with objective, with actors, you always say an objective should be something you can get behind and push. So you should be able to physicalize an objective. You can't physicalize to be, to learn. No, learning is super important, but what's your objective when you learn? I want to suck out of Jay every possible thing I can so I learn from him. Make sense?
Wow.
It's theater
Well, it really
101, really.
flows from our last show, which came up about choice.
Choices, intentionality. I choose to be this. If you don't make a choice, then other people choose who you
Well,
are.
Joe, what would be what? How did you say it? An objective within it, like a noun, you said, or a thing to do?
My objective as a noun, and objectives are always verbs. So people think objective means, oh, well, I'm neutral, but I'm talking about having an objective. So, and that's always a verb.
Hmm.
Do
Because
you know
it's
what?
action towards a
Yeah,
goal.
because Jay, usually when I ask somebody what their objective is, they'll give me an adjective. Well, to be friendly, that's not an objective. You can't play an adjective. You can only play a verb.
Mm,
That's brilliant genius because it plays to. Funny enough, Peterson's work is rooted around having a goal
an aim, yeah.
because because now when you have it, it turns the anxiety into positive emotion
Yes.
Mm.
versus negative emotion. So you're helping us. So my tactically, I'm curious if Joe's is dominate, what would be one Joe where you're there's an objective within that to if dominate is the word if a word,
Yeah.
how do we make it have meaning? You know,
So
taking
this is
drawing
some
from Michael's teachings about having an objective.
so like I'll add some color to kind of what Michael said on my interpretation of it. So everyone acts with like the greatest of intentions all the time. So like if your goal is I want to be a better person, like yes, in the moment that you're saying that, you truly believe you want to be a better person. But if you don't have actionable items that you can consistently do on a daily basis that make you a better person, then like number one, there's no way to measure between like when you said it or like if you've actually become a better person. So for me, for dominate, like I have very clear, like consistent plan of how I want to do that. And and I'm not like I'm sharing this because I've never done this until recently. I've always kind of just like floated through life and I work hard and I get results and but as I've gotten older, I've realized that like the results that I've gotten have just come through like essentially just consistency, not even being like better at things than other people, but just being more consistent in doing the things that I'm trying to achieve the goal to. So when I say dominance and like what that goal is, it's like, okay, so I know that if I do if I get up every morning at 4:30 in the morning and work out at 5 and then like do all this, if I do this long enough, I'm going to be I'm going to win my next fight. I know that as a fact. And if I train and I like, so there's so many correlations. But then in addition to that, like, because I, best intentions are probably your biggest enemy when it comes to setting these goals. And again, because like you think in the moment, you're excited, like, yeah, this is great. It's 2026. But you see how many people like fall off from what they set their resolutions to or so forth. So what also happens is like you'll never rise to the level of the occasion if something happens or that goal. You're always going to fall back to the amount of training or consistency that you've had to capitalize on that event, whether it be a goal or whatever. So that's where consistency comes in. So like for me, I want to dominate the day every day with the goals that I set. And like these goals have a clear endpoint where like where I want to be and so forth. And again, like this is completely opposite of my personality that I've ever had in my life. But in the past, like recent years, I'm like, wow, this is the formula everyone's been talking about, and it actually works, and I'm bought in. So that's where like last year's introspective kind of looking back how I became successful is like actually like, oh shoot, like this is how I did it. Like now that's I can't start playing defense now. I have to continue playing offense to stay where I'm at and get further because this is how I got here.
This was
what do
great
you,
coaching.
oh,
Jenna, did you see that coaching? Because what Jenna and Jay, what we do when someone says their objective is to dominate, I go deeper and all you do is say that prepositional phrase in order to. So Joe, you want to dominate in order to? And once you do the in order to, which is what you did, Jay, people come up with things like Joe just said and gets deeper. Because to
yeah,
dominate alone is really doesn't demand anything of the other person.
yeah.
So it's a nice idea, but unless you go to the in order to, and that's what you said, Joe. And actually, Jay drew that out of you. You
Hmm.
didn't say it until Jay probed you.
I have a quick question about what you did say. What is the difference if there is one? And this could maybe be for all of you. What is the difference if there is one between consistency and better?
Mm.
Jenny, you are so smart. I love you so much. Because when I looked at Jay's core values in preparation today, the only one that I have trouble with is consistency. And it's subtextual in your question. Because in theater, so if someone says to me, or in speech making, so if I say to you, Jenna, every time you make a speech to your team, it's very consistent in what you do. What is that code for? You're
It,
freaking boring. You're just doing the same thing over and over again. However, consistency is brilliant when it comes to punctuality, morality,
oh,
ethics. Then, of course, we treasure consistency. But the irony, Jay, like I always do this when I see that that's one of your eight, because I rebel against consistency. When someone says to me, "Oh, you're very consistent," I know I should have done something more sparkly and creative that day. So therein lies the dilemma. And Jenna, that you picked that up was just so amazing to me, given that you're not in show business, but I guess you are, frankly.
well, I will tell you that in my life, I have had a couple callbacks in my younger years, just saying.
Not
I played,
surprising.
I played Mrs. Carol and Annie. And
Mm.
I was stage crew in some things. No, I'm just kidding. No, but so Joe, what you said though, it's interesting. So consistent when I think when you ask the question like what happens when somebody says your speeches are always consistent, I'm in my head like, oh, they're always wonderful. But so it's
Sure.
the context is so interesting, right?
Right.
Like
But so but this is where consistency is, if it's not consistent, so it's just scientific, right? So
yeah.
like in order to have, you need a baseline to be able to measure improvement. So if
Got
it's
it.
not consistent, then how do you know it's better? If I give the Gettysburg Address as a speech one day and then I do stand up from, Eddie Murphy the next day and then something else or whatever and say, okay, like which was my best performance? Well, I don't know because it's like
I'd say
if
you
you do the
reverse it
same
all.
thing every day, then you can very easily measure improvement and get better because there's no variables. It's like having
What
it's
what
like
if the meaning of consistency has a relationship with the other values? So collaboration, which is 7, I'm just arbitrary, just to collaborate, doesn't matter which one there. Collaboration, in the spirit of collaboration, the meaning of consistency, the context, like consistency in the absence of collaboration is stagnation and death. I think Alosso's life is dedicated to the movement of energy flows, like in a sense, like he is music. Schopenhauer taught me like how the deepest philosophy is revealed through music, movement. So like I think he's more so like the expression of his life or something he's highlighted, pinpointing is, without another value or another. So I'll use collaboration, for example. Like this conversation is collaborative. A thread line of it is we're still having it. We're on this point about consistency. So like there's a thread. The thread line is we're still having a conversation around this topic
well,
because
so
we're doing
let's
it
put
with
it
one
this way
another. So
though.
that's just where
Let's
my
say that,
mind goes.
do you think that if we had this discussion once a year, it would be better, worse, or the same as if we had this scheduled call once a week and talked about this like similar topics? Like, do you think that our communication skills would get better, or like insight into things would get better if we're doing it more often or less often? So that's where like the consistency comes in.
For
It's
me, it
essentially,
would be weekly because it would be inconsistent. We would do something different every single time. And that's what would make it so good. You know what? What's funny about
Wow, I
this is
love
that
this.
we're all agreeing it's the semantics. So in
right.
theater, we don't call it consistency. We call it, Joe, it's this 3 word magic sentence that all theater people and musicians understand. Jay's example about the music was a perfect paragon of this. We say structure frees creativity.
Huh.
So the
Hmm.
consistency might be that we're meeting every week and it's the 4 of us on the thing. Because of that structure, the 4 of us are liberated to be more creative. If we
Yes.
said the same amount of words every time, that's consistent and it's boring.
And structure is a synonym of consistency.
We say
Arguably. Yes.
in in
Yes.
in the MMA gyms that there's you'll see discipline equals freedom or some
Yes.
discipline equals something. So that's like it's the same
Same thing, Joe.
concept. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to share the animo since we're on it, it's interesting. So it comes from Latin consistentia, firmness, steadiness, from consistere, to stand still, to stand together, to take a stand. The con means together, the sistera, to pause, to stand, related to stand, state, resist, the literal meaning, to stand together, to hold one's position, to remain firm over time. Um, in his but that's what I think is interesting. The elucidating here, Michael's point is, you have a building, right? 200 years from now, you take the people off the planet, and you have all the buildings. What's going to happen to the consistency of the buildings? They're going to start falling. Eventually, they're going to fall without the vibration of our. So there's clearly, but that's the beauty of a conversation. And
Exactly.
that's what I took away from for 9.99 Hope Farm, me. How about that? You know,
Well,
like, was having a pattern interrupt. I took is was that anyway? I'll let you elaborate on that. Is that
Well,
fun?
no, like, when
Yeah.
you read that, I was reading, I'm thinking, remain firm all the time. Yeah. So my dad's consistent. So when I come home and say my heart's broken, he has the same emotion that he had when I said, I carried 3 boxes into the basement today. I don't want, but I'm not disagreeing with you because I was thinking if Sarah, my executive assistant, wasn't consistent, my whole world would fall apart. Her consistency fosters my creativity. So, Jen, I don't even know if you know this. Sarah, every Friday, sends me my schedule for the next 9 days written out. If she misses a Friday, like, what am I doing? So to support your jubilation about consistency, Jay, I think you nailed it the best when you said consistency standing alone could have that pejorative connotation, and you're a great example of the building. And if you allied it with something else, then it's juicy and wonderful. Consistency in the collaboration, consistency in that we're going to show up in the same place every time, and we trust one another to be there, which frees us to be creative. Joe, what did you say is the slogan for you guys?
Discipline equals freedom.
Love that. It's the exact same thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, actually, sports, music, and theater are very aligned in that thought that Joe just said. That's why that so much power happens in those disciplines
Hmm.
because we are disciplined, which gives us the freedom. Love it.
I loved it. It would be so helpful, Michael, if we in the future we could go. And that's the thing about values. The value of values is to challenge for them to be challenged.
Yeah.
In the absence of the challenge, they have no value. They're just
Exactly.
words on the wall.
Yeah.
It's I've
Well,
been trying to teach this for years and I've not been able to do it at all. This is what I
That's not
actually have to
true.
do.
That's not,
No,
excuse me.
no, I mean
Hold on.
this.
That's
Well,
not
I'm
true.
being,
You have been able to teach it. You have been able to teach it. You do teach it and people understand it and you've been very successful teaching it, but maybe you've just unlocked another vortex of teaching it better, more,
yes, and Jay.
more
Yes,
consistent.
and
your consistency around my uh thank you for the yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Jen is right.
I was going dark. I was right. It's like very, very, very. I want to tear it all down and rebuild it to make it perfect. It's like I can see opportunity cost.
Which doesn't align with your personality. So it doesn't work. That won't work.
I don't throw the baby out in the bathwater, Jay. What
Yes,
I
and
believe
Jay.
we can improve, or let's say step into, is somehow modeling the value of values, right? This thought around having the conversation. Like how this is a question I have for you guys. I'd love your opinion. Like if we're going to teach values, how do we do it in a way that is relational and interactive and engaging? Because it's not just going to be, I don't think, like I've learned what not to do. It's not only taught through words or a curriculum. That's what I'm trying to elucidate on. Okay, when I've only attempted through that medium, I don't believe it's been at the level um necessary to help the values conversation be valuable. So like Michael challenging the core values of my identity gave me an opportunity to live out one of them, which is collaboration. Like, hey, what do you mean by that? That's interesting. What's he trying to say? Da, da, da. But like, it's still really hard. I found that it's only to agree. I found that it's easiest to agree with things that aren't true.
Should we
These are the
change
most.
consistency for collaboration in our core values?
No, collaboration's number 7. I just
Collaboration's
didn't
already
tell
there.
anybody yet.
Oh, it's not on our website. We
Yeah,
need to,
well, yeah, it's a work in progress, guys.
we need
Huh?
to figure that out.
Yeah, yeah. It's a
Oh,
We
work.
need
I
to
didn't
get more
know that.
consistent with
I'd
updating
love
your website, it sounds.
my
First of
my
all,
hope with
I
the
resent you, Joe, for that statement because we are consistent at updating our website.
but my hope with the
I
values
just
are
wasn't aware as the COO of the organization that we added a 7th value from the visionary who teaches values the best possible way in the world. And that's why this all makes sense, right?
I'm
That
hoping that
could be
the
consistency
value, yeah,
possibly.
maybe the audience could take this away from the conversation. These are the conversation we're having around this value. This was why I started Culture Matters, that a team, right, somewhere in the world that works together are saying what they think and questioning what are our values, where are they, how are we living up to them? What's our objective? In what relationship are we to it? Like this conversation to me is is exactly why I started the company. So thank you for you guys for showing up, and somewhere along the way we got over here, and I appreciate it greatly. But we're done, so see you
It's
later.
got it got over my head, man. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not. It's
How could it
there's
get
a
over
lot
your
of
head? You have
concepts
such
out
big
there.
hair. Your
I'm
hair's so
telling
big. How could it get
you,
over that? It's so.
it's a filter. I'm
Is it a
actually
filter?
bald.
It's like a
I'm actually
lion
bald.
mane. And then when you do that and I see your tries, it's like,
Uh,
what are you doing? Like, come
yeah,
on.
telling you. But
Hey Joe, where do we go from here? We have 4 minutes.
26, man. What's coming up? What do you got, Jay?
Post Hope Farm after the after my hull was breached by the black space of night and all that oxygen was leaving the air shaft, I was forced to put I was forced to reflect, and what I noticed was everyone needs a day with Jay.
Amen.
And there's no pecking order hierarchy, like everybody that's the gift I've been given by my all my families. Everyone needs a day with Jay. And so actually my next one is with your co-host on January 27th. He was on the show today, Ken Jordan, the one and only Ken Jordan, the next day with Jay, the third out of 100. So I'm going to do 100 days with Jay. So I hope, and my hope is that I could see myself clearly enough to know what to do next.
There you go.
So everything else is kind of like an outcome of that. I'm focused on that. That
Yeah.
objective is to do the day with Jay. Now, there's an objective within that, which is everybody needs to know that that's a thing, and that I'm out there, be referable. Like, hey, this is who I am. This is where I come from. This is what I'm passionate about. This is who we've served. This is how, who do you know? So all of that, I'm having those conversations, and this New Year's Eve Lollapalooza with the 65 or 67 friends that have participated or will by the time we're done at 10 or whatever,
Hmm.
is a good foreshadow of that. So I'm really focused on making sure the people in my life know who I am today, not who I was 16 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, and where we are and what's up. And I'm most excited about that. I'd like to do more great work like I did as a student on that farm, just being myself.
Nice.
Beautiful, Jay. Therein lies the answer. It's really New Testament oriented, Jenna, with your relationship with God. Because I remember Michelle Obama said this thing where she said, be grateful for what you have and be ready to share it when the time comes. And
Wow.
I thought about that. She just lifted that from that famous Luke 12 passage. Do you know the one I mean? And I'm going to paraphrase it. I apologize to everybody. Those of us who are blessed with much, much is expected. So what I love about a day with Jay, what I love what you're doing, Joe, with Penny, Jenna, what you do every day of your life, what I'm doing when I go into these companies and into these worlds, is we have gifts. Think about the definition of a gift. What's the point of a gift if you don't give it away?
Mm.
And that's a year built in action rather than a year built in thought. It's a year built in action, this
I think
giving
that's why
away
I've
of
been so
gifts.
sad, because my last name means gift in Hebrew,
That's right.
and I've been
Doran.
holding it
Yeah.
back.
It's beautiful, Jay. That's awesome, brother. This is the year, man.
Your presence is our presence.
Right.
And I think
Mm.
Mike I
Write that
think
down.
Michael Allosso is going to help Jay Duran a lot this year in 2026.
Jenna, I love you. Meeting and knowing Jay, like I love Jay from the second I met him. Like he captured me immediately.
I love that story when
Oh,
you get
Jenna,
that.
I tell it so often, and it's like I feel like it happened yesterday. I live it. It's such a great moment. Like I had never met anyone like Jay.
One of my
And
regrets is not being in that
I
room
know,
you
and what
guys
you
met.
should have been. Like you
Yeah.
should have been, right?
Yeah.
You know what you were probably doing? running around corralling people and, doing things that were super needed.
Ordering you guys lunch
And
probably.
ordering us lunch, right?
I want to tell you guys this. I
Wait,
just
hold on.
said,
I want to hear what he was gonna say. Real quick.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, and so my relationship with Jay has been eye-opening because Jay is so strong. What Jay models for all of us is someone who's so strong in who he is and seems like he doesn't need to be coached by anyone, and yet is the one who is the most open and available to feedback. That's Jay's superpower. And you model that so beautifully, and it inspires others to do the same.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know where to go from there, but I'll tell you, I Hector Sanchez, Joe, who's become a fast friend. He was on the show today at 5 p.m. I met him at a Vistage keynote, the entrepreneur group, because I was watching Michael recently, and I sat next to this guy. And I just want you to know that I met this guy, Hector
Awesome.
Sanchez. He came on the show today. He participated at
Beautiful.
5 p.m.
It's
Joe, he's definitely
awesome.
your people.
I
He's
loved
this
Hector.
amazing consultant. Yeah, but think about that, right? And I just
Yeah.
want to, you that's the energy you created and Joe, like I think that's what you and Ken, I'll say this, you and Ken with your show, uh, I send you all those guests because you guys have high stakes. I send more guests to their podcast than anyone than anyone yet, and I'm connected to like I don't know, 3 dozen maybe.
Yeah.
Uh,
Awesome.
yeah, because they have such high stakes, Michael. Yeah, Ken, Jordan, and Joe. So thanks for being you, and it's greatly appreciated. What I'd ask is that anyone listening to this episode, share this with someone you care about deeply, especially someone inconsistent as fuck.
Ah,
I love it.
That is
Nice to meet you, Joe.
you as
Joe,
well.
great to meet
Yeah.
you, brother.
Yeah, you
Happy New
too.
Year. God
Happy
bless you, man.
weekend. Yes.
Jay and Jenna, I love you. May you have the best 2026 ever. What a joy to do this. I'm doing the same thing as Mike now. Peggy cooked for me before this. She's put up with me all day. And here's our big New Year's Eve thing. We're going to see Wicked for Good.
Oh,
Oh, I love that.
yeah,
I
that's
love that
cool.
so much.
Because because Joe, we're Peggy and I are on the screen in the Screen Actors Guild, and
Uh-huh.
we get everything sent to us. We can just sit in our living room and look at everything. So we don't go to the movies anymore, like real
Ah,
people. So we
yeah.
said New Year's Eve special, we're going to the movies, even though we're going to get this streamed in our living room because we have to vote. Let's go to the movies with a
Put
big
some
thing of
extra
popcorn.
butter on the popcorn.
Yes, exactly, Jenna.
I actually went to the movies to see that with my girls. And
Oh,
Awesome.
I
You
I
didn't like it?
I thought the movie probably was amazing, but I have this thing where I get into a movie theater and I fall asleep immediately. So
So does
right?
Peggy.
If I
Joe,
sit
so does
down to
Peggy.
watch a movie, I fall asleep right away. So
Be
I
funny.
Peggy
heard
does the same thing, Joe. So I'll
at least
be
you're
it was
consistent with it,
it
Joe.
was some of the best sleep I've gotten in a while. And I know the movie
Well,
is phenomenal, but I maybe saw 2 minutes of
Joe,
it.
you're
So
more than welcome to come to the next one. If you'd like, I'll send you the Zoom. No pressure either way. We got two more
I
tonight, and then we'll spend,
crush him.
I
then
would
Crush
we'll
him,
love
watch
Jay
to,
and
but
Jenna.
I've got 5 kids that I gotta go attend to that I'm surprised that they're not knocking down the walls here.
Wow.
So, but awesome guys,
Happy New
Jay.
Happy
Year's.
New Year.
Happy New
Yeah,
Year. God
And we
bless
will
you.
see you next time on the
all
Culture
right.
Matters podcast. Bye, guys.